Airline Manager 4, Tips for Beginners. These are there's about 10 tips for beginner players that are going to have a big impact on how you play the game. Buy fuel at a low price, such as under $600. Look for prices at $300 and sometimes as low as $100 or $10. I buy right now at any price because I have a lot of money. But my rule was to always buy at $1,200 or less. And when I started out, I was buying at $800 or less. But when you're really at the beginning of the game, you want to get it as low as possible. Set cost index to 0 to earn more income per flight at expense of slower flights. Almost every airplane in the game, you make a lot more profit if you set the cost index to 0. It's going to take almost twice as long for the plane to fly, but you're going to bring in a lot more money. So if you're having problems with income, that's how you do it. When you start out, it doesn't matter because your flights are short anyway. So a 3-hour flight might become 5 hours, but maybe you're not going to be departing every 3 hours. You're going to depart less often. And overall, you're going to bring in more income. You just have to wait. Buy planes with a high passenger to fuel ratio. Very simple. Look at the number of passengers and look at the amount of fuel used. And if the number is high, buy the plane. So if you see low numbers like 1 or 5 or 8, just look at the ones you're considering buying and look for the one that has lots of passengers and uses the least amount of fuel. Buy planes that have a high seating capacity. So in the beginning of the game, you're going to look for planes that can carry 50 passengers or maybe up to 100 passengers. They're going to bring in more money because every person has to buy the ticket. More people are buying tickets, you make more money. Look for a starting hub with a high market value up to 90% for when you need to sell planes. So you want to sell your planes at a high resale value. The highest you can get is 90%. So look for a starting hub that has a high resale value. It's called a market value. Look for those 90% numbers. And then when you sell those planes, which you're probably going to do in your first week or two of playing, and you're going to bring in more income. Delay buying cargo aircraft. I know you're excited about buying cargo aircraft, but you're going to make more money with passenger aircraft early in the game, and it has to do with the way marketing works. Because if you buy cargo aircraft, you have to buy separate marketing. It was a long time, maybe it was over a month before I started buying marketing for cargo aircraft. If I had kept just passenger, then I would have gotten more efficiency out of my marketing. It's a big deal. Use training points to lower the fuel cost or CO2 cost. So you're going to see training points for catering and lounges and cargo. You want to postpone all of that and focus on your operating costs. The stock market, catering, lounges, and alliances do not earn you anything, and they cost you a lot of money. Lounges are extremely expensive. You're just going to lose money. Catering makes very little money. If a ticket price is $1,000, catering might bring an extra $5. It doesn't bring in that much more money. However, it is good if you have the biggest planes that carry 600 passengers. Well, then you're going to obviously make a lot more money. The stock market, you're not going to make any more money. You're going to waste all your training points on the stock market, and then you're going to bring in nothing, and your investment's going to be really bad. It takes you many months to bring in $1 million, and you can make the same amount of money just by departing one aircraft. So the stock market is also a waste. Learn to use stopover for all flights. This is one thing I wish I had learned to do sooner. It took me a while to figure out how to do stopover flights, but learn to do it because it will bring in more money per departure. And You know how you start the game and there's a lot of planes ready? You lost money because they weren't in the air. They have to be in the air for you to make money. When creating a route, pick cities that have a high demand value, especially for coach class at the start of the game. So if you pick a city, for example, a city in Africa, and it says the demand is 10, 30, 50, those numbers are too low. You want to see in the hundreds. There's cities that have demand over 1,000. You want you don't need 1,000 at the start of the game, but in the beginning of the game, look for cities that have like 200 demand for coach class, 100 demand, so that you won't deplete the demand. A good starter aircraft are the ATR series of planes. They carry a lot of passengers at a low cost. That's why you want to fly them. They're going to bring in more money. A lot of people recommend the DC-9, 10, and the BAE. The BAE is better. And the reason why, I don't remember why, but overall the specs for the BAE, you can be better off with the BAE. The issue with the DC-910, it's a fast plane, so it's going to fly and then it's going to land before all your other aircraft land. And then it's just going to be sitting there doing nothing. So unless you're able to depart it quickly, you don't get the benefit of the faster aircraft. You understand what I mean? You only get the benefit of a fast airplane like the DC-910 if you keep on departing it immediately. If you wait until all of your planes land, there's really no benefit, and you definitely want to go for something like a BAE or another aircraft. Okay, so those are my beginner tips for the game Airline Manager 4. You can look in my forum at cheapbooks.cc and look for Airline Manager 4. There's obviously a lot of games. And I've written a lot of tutorials, lots of tips, got lots of aircraft. For example, we can look at an ATR, and I show you how much money I make per flight, so you'll know if you're making enough money. In this case, 87,000 per flight with the ATR 42400. I am also the owner of cheapbooks.com, which is a website for searching for books and textbooks. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.